Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Mr. Payne bringing you the I Do, You Do factoring review activity. I know you friends have missed me this chapter, so I figured I'd bring you a review activity to get you where you needed to be and A-OK for this test that's coming up. Well, the first one here says subtract negative 3x squared minus 4x plus 10 from x squared minus 8x plus 7. My friends know that we really focus on this word from. That's the most important word. It tells me that we need to put this guy that I just put in parentheses here, and I haven't used my stylus in a while, so bear with me. We're going to put this guy out front. So we're going to write x squared minus 8x plus 7, and subtract does mean to subtract, so we're going to put a nice big minus sign in between there. And then we're going to write our negative 3x squared minus 4x plus 10. I know some of you out there can do this without doing keep, change, but I really want you to be careful that we're going to make sure that we're going to keep this guy. We're going to change every other sign and negate it. So now we can say x squared plus 3x squared is going to give me a 4x squared. Then we're going to say a negative 8x plus a 4x is going to give me a negative 4x. And then a positive 7 minus 10 is going to give me a negative 3. Alright, this one's going to say factor. So you've got to recognize that it is a binomial. When it's a binomial, there's a few questions that you want to ask yourself. Are my coefficients, are they going to be, are they perfect? And 24 is not a perfect square, so therefore this is not a difference of perfect squares. Also, this is a plus sign in there, so that means we're just going to do plain old factoring of a GCF. So the first question we ask ourselves is, what is the GCF? What is the GCF between 24 and 36? If you forget how to do that, don't forget you have a tool called a calculator, and you can use that tool by hitting Math, Num, 9. I know Ms. Bell and Mr. Fitz have taught you that, so let's make sure that we're going to go ahead and hit that, and we're going to come up with 12. Now, it's not good enough just to say 12. We have to look at our letters. I have x squared, and I have x to the fourth. Which one is the smaller variable? I hope you tell me that x squared is the smaller one, so my GCF is part of that is x squared. I have y squared and y squared. I can tell you that they are both the same, so I have two y's common. If you don't understand that, what does that mean? I have y. Let's talk about just the x's. I have 4 x's. Then I have 2 x's. Let me switch my colors here. How many groups do I have? I have 1 group. I have 2 groups. That is why I have 2 groups that are in common. So my GCF is 12x squared y squared. Don't forget, when I get that, I'm going to use that GCF to divide. So 12x squared y squared. And you do it on both sides. 12x squared y squared, and I use that out in front of my parentheses, so I'm going to put that right here, 12x squared y squared. And then inside my parentheses are my leftovers with the nice big plus sign, because that just comes on down. 24 divided by 12 is going to give me 2. X squared and x squared will go bye-bye. Y squared and y squared will go bye-bye, so I'm left with 3. On the other side, 36 divided by 12 is 3. X to the fourth divided by x squared, when you subtract them, is going to give me x squared. And y is going to go bye-bye. So here is my final answer. 12x squared y squared times 3 plus 3x squared. 15. Alright, this is another factoring problem, and we need to recognize that this is a trinomial. So right away I want you to notice that we're going to do my X box method. A times C is going to give me 15. My B is going to give me 8. Don't forget that when I ask myself this question, I want to say what times what is going to give me 15 adds to give me 8. So once again, multiplies to 15 and adds to give me 8. Well, I hope that you can recognize that 5... Oop, my bad. One more time here. I hope that you can recognize that 5 times 3 gives me 15, and 5 plus 3 gives me 8. The next step is to go ahead and recopy down your A and your C with your your new b's together. And remember, you can put your x's right in there. So I'm going to have x squared plus 5x plus 3x plus 15. Now you may say, well, where did the 8x go? I will tell you that my 8x, this 8x right here, is just written differently as 5x plus 3x. And the reason why we did that is so that we can now go ahead and group those four. I'm going to regroup those, just like I did. So I have x squared plus 5x and 3x plus 15. GCF of the front guy is going to give me x. So I'm going to put that x out front. Inside I have x plus 5. The back guy, I have a GCF of 3. So my positive 3 goes out front there, and when I divide it, I have x plus 5. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I know that I'm doing this right because this guy and this guy are exactly the same. So I can go ahead and pull that guy out, and I'm going to say I have x plus 5. And what do I have left over? I have x left over, and I have my x plus 3 left over, and that's what's going to go in my second parenthesis. And there's my factors. X plus 5 times x plus 3 is the same thing as saying x squared plus 8x plus 15 if I were to multiply those. We're back to factoring again, and this is a special case one because it's a binomial. What you need to look at for a binomial is this. Is this number right here a perfect square? The answer is yes. Is my exponent on my variable an even number? Yes, it is. Is there a subtraction sign? Yes, there is. So we call this problem DOPS, difference of perfect squares. Right away, I can go ahead and do two big parentheses. I ask myself, how do I break up y squared? Well, I hope you can tell me that it's y and y. And then I'm going to say, what's the square root of 169? If you don't know, you have a tool called your calculator. You're going to hit your second square root button and then 169. So square root of 169 is 13. Now, if you notice here, there is no b, right? That middle term is missing. That's why it's a binomial. Well, that's because it is a positive 13 and a negative 13. When you multiply that out to check it, you would see that you would have a positive 13y and a negative 13y. And what happens with a positive and a negative 13y? They cancel out. That is why you do not have a b right here in the problem. That's why the b is missing. I have my a and I have my c, but I do not have my b, and that's because they have canceled out. Let's try this factoring problem type again. The first question I ask, are my coefficients perfect squares? The answer is yes. Are my exponents even? The answer is yes. Is there a minus sign? Yes, it is. So right away, I can go with my two parentheses because I know what kind of problem it is. It is a DOPS problem, difference of perfect squares. So the square root of 9 is going to give you 3. So put your 3 in both. In this case, you really want to pay attention to make sure your order is the same. The next guy I'm going to break up is x squared. So it's going to be x and x. I'm going to put my plus and my minus in right away. Does not matter which one the signs go in, as long as you have one of each. Square root of 49 is going to give me 7. The square root of y to the 6 is going to give me y cubed. Notice I break them up evenly. That's why it's important to have even numbers as your variables. And there it is. There's a DOPS problem for you. Back to factoring a trinomial again. One thing that you want to make sure of is as soon as we get to that trinomial, you go ahead and draw your Xbox. Because we're going to use the AC Xbox method again. Don't forget my AC goes up top. So A times C, 3 times negative 8, is going to give me a negative 24. My B is going to go on the bottom and it's going to give me 10. So you have to ask yourself, what times what gives me a negative 24 and it adds to give me 10. That is going to be nice, and it's going to give me, there's a lot of different chances. So let's try one here. Let's try negative 12, let's try a positive 12 and a negative 2. Positive 12 times a negative 2 is going to give me a negative 24. Positive 12 minus 2 is going to give me 10. Let's plug in my x's since we got it right. Now don't forget, you have your calculator for that. If you remember, in y equals, you can type in AC divided by 10. And then in your y2, you do y equals, I lied. Let's back that up. I apologize. Let me erase. It's your AC divided by your x. So in this case, your AC is going to give you negative 24. So you're going to do in y1, you're going to do negative 24 divided by x. In y2, remember Mr. O showed us this shortcut. In parentheses, you're going to do negative 24 divided by x, close your parentheses, plus x. And then you're going to look for, in your y2 column, this 10. Remember that. So that's with the calculator all said and done. I'm hoping that as we continue on, you guys can do this in your head as a positive 12 and a negative 2. Don't forget, the next step, we're going to rewrite my A, we're going to rewrite my C with my new B's in between. So let's do that together. 3p squared plus 12p minus 2p minus 8. Go ahead, I'm going to change my colors and let's regroup these. 3p squared plus 12p, my GCF is going to give me 3p. Put 3p out front. And I'm going to have p plus 4 left. On the back side, the guy that you really want to pay attention to is that negative sign. I make sure that I pull that out with whatever my GCF is. In this case, it's going to be a negative 2. Negative 2 comes out front. What am I left with is p plus 4. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I notice right here that those guys are the same, so I know that I'm doing it right. So let's pull that out. I'm going to have p plus 4, and what's left is 3p minus 2. So 3p minus 2 is going to be my second set of parentheses. The last problem on the worksheet, new direction, says to multiply. You know what that means? It's a binomial times a trinomial. Me, Mr. Payne, says that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the box method. I like to keep things nice and organized. I'm going to make my box nice and big since I'm writing with my stylus. I have x minus 4 on the side, and then on the top I'm going to have my x squared plus 6x minus 3. So I'm now going to multiply in, and then I'm going to add my way out of the box. So let's multiply in. X squared times x is going to give me x to the third. 6x times x is going to give me 6x squared. Negative 3 times x is going to give me a negative 3x. Negative 4 times x squared gives me negative 4x squared. Negative 4 times 6x is going to give me a negative 24x. Negative 4 times negative 3 is going to give me a positive 12. Right now I can tell that I'm doing this correctly, and you should be able to tell if I haven't lined up correctly because my kitty corners or my diagonals are going to match up, and that's what I'm going to add. My final answer, x cubed comes down. 6 minus 4 is 2, positive 2x squared. Negative 24x minus 3x is going to give me a negative 27x. And plus 12 comes down. Notice that I forgot my squared right there. So I have x cubed plus 2x squared minus 27x plus 12. There are no more like terms, so therefore there's nothing for me to combine. I am finished. I hope this review helps you. Remember, stay calm, see what they're giving you, and react to it. If it's a binomial, ask those questions. Is it a GCF or is it a DOPS? If it's a trinomial, nice and easy. Draw your X box, go ahead and fill in your A, your A times C, your B, figure out your wings, and go ahead and regroup. If you have any questions, please make sure you stay after and see one of your teachers.